So let's start. Good morning, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. I hope you're all doing well and ready for an informative and productive session. So allow me to introduce myself. I am Miss Pin and I'll be your MC for our very first webinar for this year. And we're excited to kick things off with a session full of insights and time for your questions. Today's webinar will focus on one-person corporation and regular comparison, highlighting their differences, advantages, and requirements to help you decide which structures suits your business needs best. And our speaker for today's webinar is a former banker and public servant who transitioned into legal practice and is now a litigating lawyer with a strong focus on corporate law, tax law, and labor law. With a unique background in that bridges finance and law, he brings a practical and well-rounded perspective to today's discussions. So please join me in welcoming Attorney J. Zen Iquara.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this webinar. Our focus for today is one-person corporation and regular corporation. So this will be a quick discussion kasi basically this is an overview of the OPC or one-person corporation and the regular corporation and which would be best for our businesses. And may mga ano din dito, may comparison tayo, may konting financial perspective dito. This would be very beneficial not only for those wanting to start a business but also those who are in corporate right now. So at least may overview kayo, meron kayong idea, general idea on what OPC or a corporation really is. This is a part of our Legal Insight series. So all throughout the year, magkakaroon tayo ng we can create and conduct Legal Insight series on different topics depending on the need ng mga participants. Ito yung isa doon. So one-person corporation versus regular corporation. Initially, before we can start discussing the one-person corporation and the regular corporation, we have to understand and to know what a corporation is. Okay, ano ba yung corporation? A corporation, as defined under the Revised Corporation Code, to put it simply, it's a juridical entity. It's an artificial being. Basically, we treat a corporation as a separate person. Okay? Artificial person siya, artificial being siya. If we are natural persons tayo, a corporation is an artificial person or artificial being. That being said, anong ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin nun, para din siyang, considered siyang separate na individual, separate na tao, separate from the shareholders, from the members, and the like. Ano pang ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin, a corporation as an artificial person or artificial being has the right of succession, as indicated here, powers, attributes, and properties expressly granted or authorized by law or incidental to its existence. Simple terms, may karapatan siyang magmay-ari ng property, pwede siyang magmana, pwede siyang magtuloy, pwede siyang mag-receive ng donation, at may legal right din siya. Pwede siyang magsampa ng kaso at makasuhan. That is the simple definition of a corporation. Basically, artificial na tao siya. Generally, kung anong pwedeng gawin ng isang natural person, maaari ding gawin ng corporation. With, of course, with limitations, with exceptions. Merong limitation ng corporation. Ano ang limitation niya? Kailangan yung mga karapatan niya or yung mga pwede niyang gawin or pwede niyang ikilos, limited ito sa isang bagay. It's limited on what is indicated on its purpose. Later po, madadaanan natin yan. Kung ano lang yung nakalagay sa purpose ng corporation, dun lang siya pwedeng mag-engage. For instance, ang nakalagay sa purpose ng corporation, ginawa yung corporation para mag-serve as magbenta ng medicine. Yun lang ang pwede niyang gawin. Hindi siya pwedeng magbenta ng inventory ng mga lupa as a regular part of business. Yun yung limitation ng corporation. Now, there are several classes of corporation, two to be exact, stock and non-stock. Basically, pag stock, yung corporation na to nag-i-issue ng shares of stock. Ano po ba yung shares of stock? Shares of stock is a proof of ownership. A proof of ownership ng corporation. The other one is non-stock. Ibig sabihin, hindi siya nag-i-issue ng shares. So, paano ka makakabilang sa non-stock? Ang tawag po doon, membership. Stock corporation, usually, these are corporations or companies who are built for profit, stock corporation yan. Yung non-stock, usually not for profit sila. Anong example ng non-stock? Rotary Club, that's non-stock. Ano pang example? Yung mga clubs, if they want to formalize, for instance, the Vespa Club of the Philippines or kung ano mang club ang gustong gawin, pwede nilang i-incorporate yon at gawing non-stock. Kasi not for profit yon. They are forming a corporation or a company na hindi para kumita. Para lang for a common purpose. Pwede yun. Yun yung mga non-stock. 'Di ba si Rotary Club, hindi naman siya nagpa-profit eh. Tumutulong siya sa mga nangangailangan generally. So non-stock siya. Sa stock, ang proof of ownership is the shares. Meron siyang parang certificate na binibigay that shows how many shares a person has. One person may own multiple shares. So for instance, bumuo ng corporation, si Faith, bumili siya ng 1,000 shares. Pwede yon. Ibig sabihin, meron siyang 1,000 shares proving her ownership of a corporation. On the other hand, sa non-stock naman, hindi pwedeng multiple ownership ang isang person. Ang isang tao will equate to one membership. Later, madidiscuss natin kung bakit importante yung percentage of ownership sa corporation. That being said, both classes of corporations are regulated by the government. Generally, this is the Securities and Exchange Commission. SEC ang nagre-regulate dito. Now, what is a one-person corporation naman? A one-person corporation, as the name suggests, isa lang ang shareholder ng corporation. Pwede ba yun? Pwede, kaya nga may OPC tayo eh. This was introduced nung ni-revise yung corporation code last time. Hindi ko lang ma-recall yung exact year, pero the last revision, in-insert na nila itong one-person corporation. So the key characteristics are, as I've said, it's a single shareholder. Streamlined governance, kasi syempre, isa lang yung nagde-decide. Limited liability pa din siya. Ang corporation kasi, since it's juridical entity or an artificial being separate from the owners, any liability incurred by the corporation is limited only to the corporation's assets. Ito ding OPC, ganun din ang kanyang characteristics. Limited liability pa din siya. Meron siyang succession planning through the nominee and of course, yung tax regime niya, corporate. This is as compared to, of course, ang isa sa dalawa actually yung malapit na form dito na nalilito yung ibang individuals. Meron kasi tayong tinatawag na sole proprietorship. Isa lang yung may-ari. And this one is one-person corporation. Isa lang din yung may-ari. So, may similarities dun, but only to the ownership. This one falls in the category of a corporation pa din. Okay? Isang may-ari lang siya, but it enjoys the benefit of a corporation. However, itong one-person corporation has certain limits. Ano yung limitation niya? Hindi lahat ng business types ay pwedeng mag-form ng one-person corporation. Anong example ng negosyo na hindi pwedeng mag-one-person corporation? Banks, financial institutions, dito? Insurance. Pati yung, if you are a professional, say instance, you're a certified public accountant or a lawyer or an engineer, a licensed engineer, licensed architect, you want to practice a profession, gusto mo magtayo ng company, okay, mag-OPC ako, that's not allowed. Yan yung industry limits ng OPC. On the other hand, a regular corporation is defined as, again, artificial being, but it has multiple owners. At the very least, dalawa, which are called shareholders. So yun yung unang key characteristics niya. Then it has flexible capital in terms of purchasing shares. Scalability, meaning if you want to have your business grow, gusto mong lumaki siya, ito yung advisable. Pwede siya sa regular corporation. It has a formal form of government kasi nga it needs a board of directors, it needs a complete set of corporate officers and the like. It has a greater investor credibility as compared to OPC. Currently, mas favor ang regular corporation pagdating sa investments. From the point of view yan ng certain investors. And then it has strict compliance or regulatory compliance and corporate compliance. Side by side natin sila. Key difference. As mentioned, ownership, that's very basic, straightforward. isang tao lang ang may-ari ng OPC. One single shareholder. The single shareholder of the the OPC must always be a natural person or a trust. I know some of you might think, pwede namang ang isang person pwedeng maging shareholder. Bakit hindi pwedeng maging shareholder sa OPC ang isang corporation? Kasi ang corporation is treated as an artificial person or artificial being. Hindi siya pwedeng maging single stockholder or shareholder sa OPC kasi prohibited siya by law. The logic behind that is iniiwasan yung mga dubious dummy companies, yung mga ganon. That's for safety of the public din naman kasi. Then, sa regular corporation, as mentioned, typically, shareholders niya ay at least 2, but it can go up to an infinite amount. Nakalagay dito, 2 to 5 initially. Ibig sabihin yan, yung incorporators lang. But the shareholders, it can go as many as possible so long as kaya siyang ma-accommodate. If you would see ang example ng regular corporation, yung mga San Miguel Corporation, BPI, Jollibee Holdings, yun, nag-o-offer sila shares sa public. So yun, ang daming may-ari nun. In terms of governance naman, kung paano patakbuhin yung company, yung corporation, sa OPC, since na isa lang ang may-ari, isa lang ang decision making, therefore, it is streamlined. Okay? Self-managed siya. Kung anong gusto mong gawin, kung anong gusto mong i-implement, may implement mo yun as a single shareholder. Ikaw yung boss, ikaw na lahat. On the other hand, sa regular corporation, it needs formal structure. A regular corporation is governed by a board of directors. Okay, yung board of directors na to, these are also shareholders. For instance, I'll give you an example. Si Josephine, si Angelo, si Roxanne, si Mika, si Faith, and si Michelle. Bumuo sila ng corporation, the 6 of them. Then, 3 sa kanila ay directors. 3 of them are directors. The 3 will govern. Generally, they will govern the activities of the corporation. So, kailangan ng board approval, kailangan ng board resolution, paano kung hindi nagkakasundo yung 3 board sa decision making? So, tatagal siya. Kailangan pang pagmitingan, kailangan pang pag-usapan, etc. Unlike the one-person corporation, kung ano yung decision ng isang shareholder, that's it. So, in terms of governance, medyo mas complex, mas may hierarchy dito sa regular corporation. Also, corporate officers are required as well as other forms of officers are required sa regular corporation. Capital raising naman, the third item, since na ang one-person corporation is composed only of a single shareholder, that means sa kanya lang nakasalalay. Generally, sa kanya lang nakasalalay ang pag-raise ng capital. On the other hand, a regular corporation may raise its capital by selling shares of stock. Pag binenta nila yung shares of stock nila sa ibang tao, for a price, of course, tinatawag doon ay par value usually. Value per share. So sa isang share, halimbawa, sa isang share, binenta mo ng 1,000 pesos isang share. So pag bumili ng certain number of shares, pwede kang maka-raise ng 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, depending dun sa share na ibebenta mo. Meaning, pwede kang mag-raise ng capital through other people, unlike the one-person corporation. Next naman, in terms of liability, both of these are protected. Liabilities are limited only to the corporate assets. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Hindi siya magsispill over dun sa shareholders. That's one of the perks or the benefits of establishing a corporation kasi limited yung liability mo. Unlike a sole proprietorship, pagka may liability na hindi nabayaran si business mo na sole prop, it can spill over dun sa personal assets ng sole proprietor. For continuity naman, the OPC, generally initially it's dependent on the nominee and the alternative nominee. So pag OPC ka kasi, kailangan mong mag-designate ng nominee and alternate nominee in case na maging incapacitated, wag naman sana, yung shareholder, yung single shareholder. Incapacity could be in the form of temporary or permanent. So pag temporary lang hindi mo magagampanan yung duties mo dahil incapacitated ka, or permanent, which either nagulay na or brain dead na siya or actual death of the single shareholder. Doon papasok yung nominee and alternate nominee. Sila yung papalit. Yun yung line of continuity nitong OPC. On the other hand, a regular corporation, generally perpetual siya. Kasi ang life ng corporation ngayon is perpetual existence na. Kapag nawala yung isang shareholder, namatay, titigil ba yung corporation? Of course not. There are other shareholders. So sila lang yung magtutuloy ng corporation. Unlike the OPC na lilipat yung ownership or yung management dun sa nominee and or alternate nominee pala. In terms of compliance, OPC is quite simple. Wala nang board meetings, walang secretary certificate and the like. Generally. But pwede naman magkaroon pala ng secretary certificate, but it's more simpler yung pag-comply sa regulatory corporate compliance and regulatory compliance sa OPC as compared sa regular corporations na kailangan ng board minutes of the meeting, magko-call pa ng meeting. Kasi nga, as mentioned, a regular corporation is governed by the board. Hindi pwedeng mag-decide ang isang tao dyan. Kailangan pag-meetingan ng board yan. Kailangan i-approve ng board yan. So lahat yun nakadependent sa multiple number of people. So mas stringent siya, mas heavier or mas technical, if I may say, yung requirement ni regular corporation. In terms of taxation, pareha silang corporate ang tax regime nila. Kasi pareha silang corporation. That's it. Next is ownership and management structure. Ito, as mentioned, ito naman, ang focus nito more on you as a manager or you as a corporate employee or corporate manager. So one-person corporation, since na single ownership, it is streamlined. Lahat ng decision sa kanya. Agile ang management and fast ang execution in terms of decision making. Merong nominee succession upon the incapacity of the one-person corporation. On the other hand, the traditional corporation, it's more formal in a sense that it is comprised of several shareholders. There must be an established board of directors. Meron ding mga, usually if malalaking mga corporation like banks, for instance, yung Metrobank, BPI, DBP, meron yung mga board governance, risk governance, risk committee, audit committee, etc. Mas formal sila. Yan yung governance committees na kailangan din i-approve ng board. Formal ang decision niya kasi centralized siya sa board. Board ang nagde-decide sa, at least for operational and strategic matters pagdating sa traditional or regular corporation. And perpetual existence. Continuous lang siya. Next is, we go to pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages. Of course, ano naman yan very relative ito sa point of view natin, but some of this may be treated as advantage applicable to both or disadvantage applicable to both. Now, in OPC, generally ang advantage niya, again, may limited liability, just like the regular corporation, may total control and then simplified governance. That's for me, these are the general advantages of an OPC. Kung tatanungin ako, etong tatlo yun. On the other hand, a regular corporation, anong advantage niya na wala sa OPC? Ito siya, scalability. This means, if you wanna go big, kung gusto mong palakihin yung negosyo mo kasi laki ng Metrobank, kasi laki ng ng mga multinational companies, pwede yon. Okay? Pwede yon. Scalability. Capital, pwede kang makagain ng bigger capital. Generally talaga, mas magiging stable kapag regular corporation if meron kang board in place kasi hindi lang isang mind yung nag-iisip and nagde-decide. Diba? Madami kayo. Multiple great unified ideas are better than single great idea. That's my personal opinion. Credibility. Etong credibility na to, what I mean here is from the point of view of investors and bank. Kasi when I was with a bank, when we check for loan applications, for instance, mag-a-apply sa amin yung isang applicant. Unang titignan, sino ba yan? Tao ba? Or company? Pag company, ano ba yan? Sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation. Of course, from the perspective of the bank or an investor, if a regular corporation borrows from them as compared to an OPC, mas credible ang regular corporation. Bakit? Kasi it's managed by several individual. Even if mawala yung isang shareholder, hindi siya mag-shake. Mas stable yung structure niya. This is true, especially if you want to procure a credit line sa mga banks. Kasi I'm talking by experience. Pag ina-assess namin before yung mga corporate loans, isa sa some of my officers then or some of the officers assessing, tinitignan nila bukod sa credit scoring, minsan tinitignan din nila yung management na naghahawak, the board. Investors also look at the board of directors. Kasi, bakit? Mag-invest kami ng pera eh. Is our money in good hands? Maglalabas kami ng pera. Is our money in good hands? Between OPC and regular corp, of course, ang point of view talaga, mas structured and mas well-managed ang regular corporation from the perspective of a investor or a bank. And lastly, flexibility. Ang ibig ko sabihin sa flexibility dito ay mas mabilis mag-issue ng shares sa regular corporation. Mas mabilis mag-change ng capital structure sa regular corporation. Disadvantages naman, for OPC, ang disadvantage, as mentioned, limitations sa equity or sa capital. Kasi nakalimit lang siya sa isang tao. Succession risk, when it comes to the single shareholder being incapacitated. Kasi pag naging incapacitated siya, hindi automatically mapupunta yung corporation dun sa tagapagmana niya. Mapupunta ito or mamamanage ito ng nominee niya. Pagka hindi kayang i-manage ng nominee, sabi natin, knock on wood, namatay din yung nominee niya, bababa siya sa alternate nominee niya. Then, tsaka palang aayusin, papatakbuhin niya muna yon, and then tsaka palang aayusin ng corporate secretary, etc. yung pag-transfer dun sa successor ni single shareholder. But during that middle time before malipat talaga, mamana yung OPC, madaming pwedeng mangyari sa OPC sa tenure ng nominee or alternate nominee. So yun yung succession risk. And third, market perception, kasi kahit ngayon, again, kahit sa banks, and sa investors, medyo parang may ano pa rin sila. Hindi naman may hesitation, may reservations yung iba when it comes to OPC. But then again, siguro dahil bago pa lang siya. Disadvantage of regular corporation naman, compliance burden kasi marami siyang kailangang i-comply. Board meeting, board reso, corpsec, and other legalities. Sa SEC, madami din siyang compliance. Slower decision making dahil nga, as I've mentioned, hindi lang isang tao ang magde-decide dito. Board ang magde-decide. Kung 15 yung board of directors nyo, nagko-conflict silang lahat, paano nyo mare-resolve yung isang issue? Or paano kayo magde-decide? So that's the slower decision making. And complexity. Complexity meaning there might be instances na magkaroon ng disputes sa shareholders or deadlock sa decision making. Next, in terms of legal and compliance requirements, an OPC, madali lang siyang i-form. Basically, madali lang, relatively straightforward ba ang formation ng corporation ng OPC. Kailangan lang niyang mag-file sa SEC. Ang kailangan lang niya ay articles of incorporation specifying the name of the single shareholder, alternate nominee, and treasurer if needed. Pero dito lang sa nominee, alternate nominee, tsaka single shareholder yon. Wala siyang kailangan na bylaws. Kasi wala silang susundin na bylaws kasi mag-isa lang siya. Alam namang i-meeting niya yung sarili niya, may sarili pa siyang bylaws. Okay, that would be preposterous. Okay? So wala siyang bylaws. In terms of annual reporting, kailangan niya lang mag-file ng AFS sa SEC. There are other filings sa SEC like mga reports, disclaimers ng single shareholders pagka may transaction sa dun sa individual transaction between the OPC and the person owning the OPC. Pwede yon. Pwedeng kailangan ng disclaimer reports and other reports, but very straightforward siya kasi lang siya, AFS lang siya generally as compared to the regular corporation. Records keeping naman ng OPC, kailangan mo lang as a single shareholder, kailangan niya lang mag-maintain ng minutes book. So dun sa minutes book, dun niya na ilalagay lahat ng resolution niya, disclaimers niya, decisions na ginawa niya, isusulat lang niya yun dun. Yun lang yung kailangan niyang i-keep. On the other hand, ang regular corporation, mas complex ang formation niya kasi kailangan mong mag-designate ng mga incorporators na more than 2 or more, shareholders, kailangan din yan ng articles, but more importantly, kailangan din yan ng bylaws. Kasi yung bylaws na yun yung susundin ng lahat ng shareholders ng corporation. Mas rigid yung governance niya as mentioned earlier kasi nga merong annual meeting required, merong special meetings na kailangan and other. It comes with those meetings, those acts. Of course, it comes with it the need to comply with the requirements of the law such as filing reports. Ayan, strict reporting. Kailangan niya ng AFS, at the very least, AFS and GIS. Ano po yung GIS? General Information Sheet. Ano po yung AFS? Annual Financial Statement. Kailangan pong i-file ito both sa SEC. Pag hindi kayo naka-file, penalty. Pag late kayo nag-file, penalty. Pag may mali doon sa GIS nyo, penalty. So, napakadaming penalty. Okay? Strict yung compliance requirement niya. And of course, si regular corporation, kailangan niya ng detailed records, more detailed than the one-person corporation. Si OPC, okay, magme-maintain lang ako ng minutes book. That's okay. That's good enough. Na-comply mo na yung sinasabi, requirement ng batas. However, sa regular corporation, it doesn't necessarily end with one book. Kailangan mo mag-maintain ng first stock and transfer book. Kung stock corporation ka, which what we are focusing right now, nakalagay sa stock and transfer book, sino yung mga may share, kanino nalipat yung share, movements ng share, bentahan ng share, nandun yun. Kailangan mong mag-maintain ng records ng board resolutions, minutes of the meetings of the board, minutes of the meetings of the shareholders resolution, and everything else in between. So madami siyang mas detailed yung records management and filing na kailangan pagdating sa regular corporation. Ito rin for some odd reason. For this reason, mas detailed, mas regulated, kaya mas tiwala yung banks and yung investors sa regular corporation in terms of yan din yung kung ano yung kinarigid nito or yung complexities ng regular corporation, yan yung nagiging basis ng investors and banks for assurance na yung money nila is relatively safe pag naglabas sila. Now, ano ba yung para sa akin? Ano ba yung para sa... Kasi there might be some of you who want to establish their own business soon. Merong iba sa inyo na may business na talaga. How would I choose kung anong mag-fit sa akin? Ang sagot dyan, as every other law student, law professor, or lawyer says, it depends. It depends on what? Depends on your goal, on your targets. It should align with your business goals or yung mga gusto mong, yung nakikinita mo na gusto mong maging in the future dun sa business mo. For instance, currently, okay ka ba na for small, relatively small to medium venture ka lang, pwede kang mag-OPC. Bakit? Kasi ako lang may-ari nito, I make all the decisions. Ayoko ng conflict, gusto ko ako'y masusunod. OPC ka. Mabilis mag-decide, streamlined operations, and medyo may fund ka naman. Okay? Kaya mo naman, since na small MSME or small to medium lang yung yung type of business mo, kaya mong i-fund yan. I would recommend OPC. I'd recommend OPC. If nakikita mo na yung business ko, this will grow, ang target ko ay maging national, then eventually maging international, then I would recommend regular corporation for its capacity to raise capital fundraising, team equity plans, decision making, which is composed of several heads more than yourself, and of course market credibility in terms of partnerships, investments, and the like. Okay? Pwede rin kayong, as mentioned here, pag malaki na kayo, pwede kayong mag-public listing. Ibig sabihin nun, yung mag-offer kayo sa public ng inyong shares. Okay? Like Jollibee, BPI, Metrobank, yung mga yon, nag-offer sila sa publicly listed company sila. Yun, mga regular corporation yun. Pagka gusto mong maging publicly listed, hindi ka pwedeng mag-OPC. Now, to conclude everything that we have discussed, both OPC and regular corporation has universal protection sa liabilities. Kung may liability ka na na-incur due to the operation of your business, naka-OPC ka, naka-regular corp ka, it shall be limited to the assets of the corporation. Hindi siya magsispill over sa personal assets mo. Strategic trade-offs, depending on which you choose, OPC or regular, may mga kailangan kang i-give up. Gusto mo ng autonomy, gusto mo ng streamline process, OPC. Gusto mo ng mabilis, OPC. However, solo ka dun. Unlike sa traditional professional or regular corporation. Another is gusto mo kaya mo ng own capital mo, gusto mo ng independence at ikaw lang, OPC ka. Pero mahirapan kang, when the time comes na kailangan mo ng malaking capital, maaaring mahirapan kang mag-raise ng fund kasi hindi ka pwede mag-offer ng shares sa ibang tao. On the other hand, pag mag-regular corp ka, of course, mas complex siya, mas matagal yung decision making and the like. Jurisdiction dependent naman, hindi lahat, eto pa isa, hindi ko na-mention kanina, hindi lahat ng countries ay nire-recognize ang OPC, but ideally yung regular corporation is recognized to sa mga iba-ibang bansa, okay? Depende sa jurisdiction. Action plan for you for what to do, validate your requirements, map your growth strategy, and then prepare documentation. Kapag nakapili ka na kung OPC or regular corp, ito na yung gagawin mo. Check mo yung requirements, tignan mo yung mag-strategize ka na, growth strategy, and prepare documentation. If you find this complex or if you find this tedious, I suggest that you seek professional help. If you need professional guidance, of course, MCLM Global is here to assist you or anyone with their needs. So if you want advisory, nandyan kami, nandyan si MCLM Global. If you want to form the corporation itself, of course, mag-reach out lang kayo kay MCLM Global Services. Alright, so that concludes our webinar discussion, or short webinar discussion for today. Short lang naman siya, 10 slides lang siya, and less than an hour, natapos na tayo. So relatively straightforward lang naman to. Overview lang naman siya. Other complexities, sa ibang topic siguro siya pwedeng i-discuss. Sa tax, compliance, and the likes.
Ayun, thank you, Attorney, for your thoughtful insights. We hope everyone gained useful knowledge for this discussion. May question ba? Actually, ako, Attorney, meron po eh. May possible situation ba na yung owner ng OPC ay magiging liable up to his personal assets po?
Oh, that's a good question, Dean. Actually, yes. Yes, may possibility yon. As I've mentioned, as a general rule, separate yung liability ng corporation dun sa personal ng single shareholder. However, there are instances na pwedeng maging liable personally yung single shareholder. When does that happen? Kapag hindi niya na-prove na yung transactions niya and yung ownership niya as a person and as an OPC are different. Basically, para siyang pinipierce niya yung veil ng corporate doctrine. So, ibig sabihin, sa mata ng batas, iisa lang kayo eh. Ginagamit mo lang yung OPC to circumvent the law or para for fraud, parang ganon. When that happens or pag yun yung napatunayan ni SEC or ng court, magiging liable yung single shareholder sa liability ng OPC kasi mawawala na yung separate and distinct personality ng OPC and si single shareholder. Magiging iisa na lang sila.
Meron tayong questions. Sapat na po ba ang bank deposit slip bilang patuloy ng contribution para sa pagtaas ng paid-up capital na i-reflect muna sa AFS? And mayroon po bang ibang document or requirement ang SEC bukod sa AFS para sa ganitong in case?
For that, pag-increase ng paid-up capital. Okay, pag mag-i-increase ka ng paid-up capital, kailangan mong i-reflect ito sa GIS or sa General Information Sheet. Requirement ito para updated yung records ni SEC at ma-view ng public yung accurate records ng regular corporation. I'm assuming ang pinag-uusapan natin dito or ang question mo, Sena, is for corporation kasi siya lang yung may paid up capital eh. Tama ba? Pagtaas ng paid up, reflect mo na sa AFS. Actually, sa GIS, kailangan i-file mo siya sa GIS. Not necessarily agad-agad. Dapat kasi nire-record din actually sa stock and transfer book yun eh, kung magkano na yung nabayaran dun sa capital, sa shares. Diba? Kasi pagka nag-increase yung paid up capital, ibig sabihin, either nag-purchase ng bagong shares na binayaran na or binayaran yung remaining subscribed shares na hindi pa nababayaran. Kung tama yung recollection ko dyan. Ang effect nun, tataas yung paid up capital, kailangan i-reflect mo siya sa GIS. Tama ba? Nasagot ko ba ng tama? Yun ba yung yung gusto mong i-point out? Oo, yun. Yun yung kailangan mong, dun mo siya kailangan i-reflect. For, may second question siya, Pin, no? Para
Yes.
sa,
For her second question, attorney, para sa isang OPC na walang GIS, tama po ba na EFS update muna ang kailangan bago mag-request ng certification mula sa SEC?
sa OPC, yung capital structure mo ay, since nasa iyo lang yun, maganda kasi makita nyo yung ano nun eh. Wala kasi akong sample ng Articles of Incorporation. Pero, yes, usually sa AFS siya magre-reflect and then i-notify mo lang si SEC. Ganon siya. As far as I can recall, Sena. I hope nasagot ko yung question mo.
Meron tayong another question from Miss Roa. For OPC, is foreigner allowed po? And is practice of profession allowed in creating regular corporation?
For number one, wala naman siyang sinabing limitations in terms of nationality for OPC. So ang sabi lang ng batas, kailangan lang daw ay natural person ka. Okay, so since na kailangan lang natural person ka, wala siyang limitation sa ano tawag dito, sa nationality. Okay? However, syempre merong exception dyan. Merong certain industries na may requirement sa ano tawag dito, sa citizenship. For instance, ano ba tawag dito? Manufacturing ng firearms and explosives. So, if I recall it correctly, kailangan ay 100% Filipino-owned siya. So, kung ganun yun, ay hindi pwedeng mag-OPC ang foreigner on that certain industry. Pero in terms of other industries, for example, retail, construction, and the like, wala naman siyang citizenship requirement or restrictions. Yung mga ano lang, ang nagre-restrict lang sa citizenship pagdating sa corporation for both regular and OPC ay yung negative list na nilalabas ng government natin. Kasi nakalagay doon kung ano yung citizenship requirement for a certain industry. 50% ba? 100% ba? Siyempre, pag OPC ka, ikaw yung 100%. So pag foreigner ka, wala na agad Filipino ownership doon. Disqualified ka na agad for on certain industries. So ganon. For your second question naman, Rowa, practice of profession is not allowed sa corporation, in any form of corporation. May it be OPC or regular corporation. So pag practice of profession pala, hindi ka dapat mag-corporation. Dapat ay either partnership ka or mag-solo practice ka. So, ganun siya.
So, that's all. See you at our upcoming events. Stay safe and have a great day. Thank you, attorney.